all different kinds of ways. I'm not want to come out here and just give you the whole victim thing. It's just what I went through from the age of 8 to 14, which I didn't have that great of a time. So at the age of 14, I told my dad that I wanted to go back to Mexico and do high school. And I obviously did. I did that. They allowed me to do that. And I grew in two different ways. I had to go there and I lived by myself at the age of 14. Whether that was legal or not, my dad had a home in Morelia, Michoacan. So I had to kind of go to school there and live. I had a cousin of mine who's a doctor, lived like 6 homes, down the street. And but I learned a lot, like in terms of discipline stuff, and just kind of being able to survive by myself. But I also was surrounded by different type of kids that grew up in the city. Their parents were lawyers, they were doctors, they were not necessarily farmers or people that would just take care of cattle, like I saw in the village. And so what they helped me realize, or at least they influenced in my mind, the fact that wanting to be better, right? Like wanting to become a doctor, wanted to become a lawyer, wanted to become a productive individual in the society. So by the time I was 18, I came back to the U.S. and I made a decision that I was going to be the first professional in the family, that I was going to go graduate, become a doctor, become a lawyer. And so I pursued that. To make a long story short, quickly I realized, because I decided to go live by myself in the city of Chicago, but quickly I realized that working a 9 to 5 at Motorola, assembling cell phone batteries, was not earning me enough money to pay for college and still pay my rent, food, clothes, gas, insurance, everything, right? And so it was an individual that actually tapped me on the shoulder, said, "Hey, in this country, my friend, you're not going to make it unless you stop just trading your time for money and rather learn the skills that can turn you into this person that can provide more value to a marketplace, to a community, and that's how you're going to earn more money." And so you speak about what were some of the psychologies that had to change. Well, one of them is that you've got to learn new skills. That's the thing, right? Stop trading your time for money. That's the second thing. And then
start some sort of a business, even if it's a side business.
Right. So that's what Paola, that's exactly right. What part of what she said is become this person who learns the skills and add value, but she was referring to take advantage of the free enterprise, man. You are in the United States of America. The one thing you definitely do not want to take for granted is the opportunity for you to go in business. And I did that at the age of 19. It wasn't easy, right? But that was a path that I decided to take at that time. And then later I learned that money, success, power do not discriminate. They are there for whoever wants them, right? And so I pursued that. But I have to give credit to me becoming the first millionaire in my family, is that I stumble upon what I believe is the best vehicle that allow me to take advantage of many levers. And we talk about leverage, right? I mean, talk about something that's powerful. I mean, if Albert Einstein said that the 8th wonder of the world was the power of compound interest, I would go back and say, well, have you considered the power of leverage? Right? Because truly being able to understand what leverage is and how to identify if the opportunities that people are looking into right now have the true levers to move a lot with a little, that would be the financial industry, brother. I mean, within just a few months of me joining the financial industry, I was making more than all my 5 siblings combined. I mean, everybody was going to work every day. They worked more than 4 hours a week. That was my mom, my dad, my 5 brothers and sisters. I was bringing more money to the house after about less than 6 months joining the business than all of them combined. Because I learned how to give this presentation to college-bound parents about how they could prepare them to fund college education. And I was being paid, an average of $1,200 for every one of these little deals that I would be closing. And I do 15 to 20 of these a week because I had nothing else to do. I had no kids, I wasn't married. So all I would do is just go out there and put the same amount of hours I would give to Motorola assembling cell phone batteries, But in this case, it was just having conversations with these people. The creative part here was, how can I be in front of more people? I think that still stays true today, right? Like, if you're not making the money you want to make, I don't care what business you're in, it's because you're not generating yourself enough opportunity. So when you talk about skills, well, I had to develop the skill of being on the phone. And I got so good at it, man. I got so freaking good at, on the phone that, it would take me 30 to 40 seconds, if I knew that was a no, like I would ask the question, to fill my calendar with appointments. And then I did a lot of door knocking back in 1999 until I actually got on radio in 2005, 2006. And that's what everything changed for me for the first time, because obviously, as afraid as I was getting behind the mic, I finally got the courage to go out there and do it. And then walked out of that first radio show I ever did. I got 14 appointments, people following me, people now chasing me for a second opinion to whatever it is that we're doing with the finances. So anyways, I hope I'm not getting ahead of myself, but I was just trying to compress, 23 years of life, condensed decades into this 10 minutes preamble of this conversation.
That's the beautiful thing about podcasts and books and all these things, because instead of learning from your own mistakes, it's much smarter to learn from other people's mistakes, right? And learn from other people's journeys. So that's been one of the game changers for me, is reading the autobiography of millionaires and billionaires and badasses. And now with my podcast, being able to interview them and spend time with them and get those decades of knowledge and information and get them condensed into little bite-sized bites that you can take home with you. So the one topic before we move on that I just really want to touch on is how attainable it really is in the United States and just in the New World in general to become a millionaire self-made. So only 28% of millionaires come from legacy wealth. So that means that over 70% of millionaires are essentially self-made, right? 50% of millionaires have some sort of a 9-to-5 job, right? So people think, oh, because I have a 9-to-5 job, then that means I'm stuck and I'm in a rat race. But no, a lot of them actually have 9-to-5 jobs and then use the disposable income that they have, and instead of disposing of their disposable income, they invest it. They invested into a business. They invested into something in the financial markets, right? And that's what we're going to dive into today, is all these different financial tools and financial instruments. But most millionaires are self-made. They're not born with a silver spoon in their mouth, right? And I believe the statistic I have here in front of me is 14% of households in the United States are in the what's called the millionaire club. Right? Doesn't mean they're necessarily making $1 million a year, but they have at least $1 million worth of wealth under their belt, right? So if you're not there yet, then your job is to figure out, how do I go from, they always talk about the 1% and they make it seem so unattainable, right? But if we're just talking about the millionaire club and not the billionaire club, how do I go from the 80%, the 85% now into the 16%? Into that millionaire club. And it's much more attainable now than it ever has been, right? I always talk about how, like, geographically, you used to have to travel, right? Like our ancestors traveled from Europe to Mexico, to the United States, right? To New York, to Chicago, to these big cities to try to find opportunity. And now the opportunity is right here on Zoom. It's anywhere that you are in the world.
That is actually very interesting. I would say this, brother, that you're absolutely right. I want to tell you this story because when Paola, which is this Colombian lady that changed my life forever just by sharing an opportunity that I had no clue just how powerful the financial industry was. It wasn't until like a decade later, right? Stumble up on, I think it was Fast Magazine and CNN Expansion or something like that, that would say, here's the industry, it's more likely to make people into millionaires, according to all the different stats. And it was the financial industry. But before that is she presented to me not just the opportunity, but she was telling me that I needed to start saving, like, for the long-term things. And the reality was that I didn't have enough money. I couldn't even make ends meet right at the beginning. So the point I'm trying to get to is that that the one thing we need to focus on is how can we make more money. And I already mentioned about the skills. I invested in me. In what? In learning how to sell. I knew I had this power. Like I had already tasted how generous the financial industry is, but I needed to become better at selling, right? Because I could make very easy math. 5 deals, 5,000, 20 deals, 20,000. That was a big deal for somebody who was 19 years old back in the year 2000. That was a week.
You go from making, maybe
$1,200 every 2 weeks
to 2,000 a day. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's exactly right. And so that was like, whoa, right? And so, but the thing is that there were people playing the game at a whole different level. So you have to be, I like the system-made millionaires rather than the self-made millionaires, because system-made millionaires, all you got to do is model. You don't need to be a genius or super smart. You just got to model somebody else. And I was looking at the people that were making what I used to do in a month. They did it in a week. It's almost like, how do you then double that or 10x that? They were really good at sales, man. They were really, really good at human nature and understanding sales, conversation, how to be an advisor, how to listen, and how to align the proper product to the problem. And so I invested in learning how to be good at sales. I think that, Tony, unless you believe otherwise, man, I think that is a one skill everybody should invest in. And look, if you hang around people who are really good, who generate revenue, most likely they're very good salespeople. And so if there's one skill I can recommend, that would be that. But now you want to apply those skills in something that's extremely generous, which again will be the financial industry. And then the second thing that I invested in is in marketing. You've certainly done a lot of investment of time into marketing. You're probably one of the best marketers I've ever met to this point. With everything you've done with Latino Wall Street and everything, that didn't happen by luck. So I think you can speak to that maybe one of the second things that in terms of skills that people are learning is how to do marketing. So sales and marketing obviously are
and distribution, right? Instead of marketing, I like the word distribution, right? So you can have great sales skills, right? But if you have your store in the middle of the desert and nobody sees your products or your services, well, you're not going to sell that many, right? So number one is having the right message, right? The sales or the persuasion, right? That part of the communication. But number two is the distribution, right? How can you get that powerful message in the hands of as many people as possible?
Let me tell you this story. I think you'll enjoy this one and you'll get value out of it, because here's how I look at distribution. In my quest to becoming the best in Chicago, advisor in Chicago, competing with the top advisors in that area, obviously want to do the same. And I'm modeling what they're doing. And I see they're on Bloomberg, Fox Business, right? They're on all these different channels. And my English was not as good as it was today. Like I was really struggling with English. So I'm like, I maybe cannot go on Bloomberg or Money or same as NBC, but I can go to Univision and Telemundo and I can go all these different places. And so I started to double my business by obviously having my message be heard, not just on a block or the numbers that I was able to call on a daily basis, but rather on a 90-mile radius, get people to call me. But point is that, yes, by doing effective marketing and getting more distribution of my message, brought about more opportunities. But this is where I was going to in terms of distribution. See, I got to a point where it didn't matter how hard I worked. I got limited by time, right? I have 24 hours in a day and I couldn't write all the deals with my own pen. So I was stuck at that $600,000, $700,000 a year, I remember, in terms of things I could write with my own pen. So how do I get to the million? How do I get to the 5 million? How do I get, to the multiples in the millions? And that would be the distribution. In other words, is how can you build a system around what you do to teach it to others and build distribution? And that's where I align myself with the right team and the people that have dominated that game. They've dominated the game of distributions and not just made 10 million, they make billions. That's really going to the highest of the highest in the game. Because a lot of the advisors, like I started, first I was modeling Paola, and that bought about 10 times what I was making. Then I started to model this guy in Traverse City, Michigan. His name is Michael Reese, who I respect a lot. I love the guy. He changed my life. And he teach me that just by changing my messaging, I could attract a whole different crowd to solve a bigger problem. So he teach me marketing and messaging. But then Hubert Humphrey is teaching me how to go from just making, 7 million to actually building a company, not just a practice, but a company, distribution. And so today I'm sitting here talking to you while we have people writing a lot of business in Mexico, Canada, in the US. And I'm here, right? Even if I don't see a client today per se to write a piece of business, you have other people in different places all over the world.
Yeah. So how many agents do you have right now in your company, in your organization?
Probably over 3,000. Right. Because that have to include, but and so in the words of Paul Getty, right? He says, I'd rather earn 1% of 100 people than 100% of my own efforts.
Yeah.
So that's something that's important for people to think about when you were mentioning distribution, because I think that is the name of the game. I mean, if McDonald's is the biggest hamburger chain, they sell the most, not the best hamburgers necessarily, but they do have the biggest distribution because they have the most outlets. So at the end of the day, I associate distribution with the opening of outlets and then pushing solutions through those outlets.
Well, yeah, and you bring up another good company that I like to talk about is McDonald's, right? You could go out and try to start your own restaurant, or you can open up a McDonald's franchise and they're going to hand you the blueprint and basically give you a turnkey, guaranteed successful organization, right? So that's also one of the big hacks, if you will, about what you're doing is you're not trying to reinvent the wheel, right? You're using these systems that were created by Hubert Humphrey, decades ago, that are already proven out, already created multiple billion-dollar companies, and you're just applying those same systems to your own business, right? And then unlike an opportunity like a McDonald's where you might need $500,000 or more, I think it's like 2 million. It was $500,000 when I was a kid. I think it's like 2 million you need to start a McDonald's franchise, right?
It's crazy.
You can start a franchise of HGI for a lot less. I know it's not technically a franchise, but you can start your own chapter.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. When was it? I was flying back from Miami because we're doing a whole tour. When I was invited to speak about how I became the first millionaire in my family and all that, and I was flying back, and I got on YouTube, and there was a famous influencer. I'm not going to mention the name, but it said, "Here's 10 things you could do." That businesses you can start with $1,000, and just mentioning all these different businesses. I'm like, if people only knew that the best investment I ever made was $150, I think it was $150 that this opportunity cost me. That has been the best business. Like that's what I paid to get into this business.
Oh, that's so fun. I might have saw the same video, and like number one was like to start a cleaning company, like to clean the windows or a car wash or something. And I was like, right. I mean, I was doing a car wash when I was a kid.
Those aren't businesses. Those are like self-employment opportunities for $1,000. Yeah. But obviously there is a lot of opportunities.
Let's talk a little bit about, so if people don't know what you do, what do you do? What is the financial services industry? If you had to sum it up.
You know what, the best definition I have found for what financial planning or financial services really is, it's nothing but sitting down with somebody, listening to what goals and dreams they have, and then aligning the financial products with the solution. In other words, aligning the product with the objective. And so that's all I do, man. All I do is sit down with people. Look, listen, there's just one thing that most people have in common is they're trying to maintain their lifestyle and improve it over time. And to do that, they need to utilize vehicles, right? So in most cases, it makes a lot of sense to teach people what are the vehicles that can enable them to not just retain money, but also grow it and protect it from everything that erodes its value: inflation, taxation, market volatility, fees, and also protect it from a reality that we'll face one day or another, which is becoming ill, right? Or becoming disabled or dying. Those things will happen. And so when we're on our way of creating our wealth and building assets that we want those assets to take care of us when we no longer work, well, we've got to protect those assets, and we've got to use the vehicles to do that. There are vehicles to shield you from taxes. There are vehicles that to shield you from inflation. There are vehicles to shield you from taxation, which will be much higher in the future. And there are things you can do to minimize what you're paying. So a lot of these different companies that are charging you an arm and a leg for their services, there's ways to minimize that. I would be one that tell you that the fees will probably take more from your wealth than taxes if you don't pay attention to that. Just one additional extra point you pay on the managing of your money over 20, 30 years, it means 20 or 30 years less income. So maybe it's a long answer to describe like, what do we do, man? And we help people solve their financial problems. I think that adds a lot of value to them. And that's why the industry is so generous. But it's the easiest business I have ever been in. If I compare with anything else that I have attempted to do and try to do with the capital that I get and other businesses, is that people want to know how to make more money and how to protect and retain the money from everything that I just mentioned. So all we need to do is listen, have the arsenal of solutions and align them, and we get very handsomely compensated for that. Now, the other advantage is by teaching that to other people, I'm able to just not make an income based on what I can write with my own pen, but have 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. I mean, we have a guy here at the company that has about 7, much bigger sales force, like, in the Indian market. I mean, of all markets, talk about the Indian market being like 1% of the US population. This guy's probably got about 9,000 agents all across the US. So just imagine being able to earn a revenue of 9,000 people out there, right, pursuing it. But that he understood the game of distribution. He is modeling the model, the copy that is worth duplicating, which is Hubert Humphrey. That's the mentor I'm following. Now, why do I follow him? Because this is his third company he's building that he'll exit over $1 billion. So I want to be able to do that. And the only way for me to have a higher chance of success is by getting as close to the people that have the results. I'm just wondering how many influencers, whatever, be on social media. Oh, they have the great intention. Not many of them have built $3 billion companies. Very few. So
I remember a while back, I started coming to the realization, right? I had first I was interviewing like people that had made 6 figures, right? I would get those guys all the time, like made 6 figures, 6 figures, 6 figures. It's like 16-year-olds making 6 figures, right? And then I kind of said it and I was like, okay, I'm only going to interview people if they're making 7 figures, right? And then it was like 7 figures, 7 figures. And now I'm like, okay, they got to be making like 8 figures or like $1 billion or something good to get my attention, because, also the world is changing. Like $1 million is not even a lot of money anymore.
That's true. That's true.
It's kind of crazy. I saw an interview last night with Ice Cube, and he was showing the house he grew up in Los Angeles, in like the ghetto. There's like gunshots and all this bad neighborhood. And he's like, here's the house I grew up in. My father bought it for $50,000, and today it's worth $650,000. And I was like, oh my God, that's a house in the ghetto, right? But yeah, I mean, due to inflation and just this crazy world that we're living in, that bar for what is successful and what is wealth is going to keep getting raised. And that's why it's more important than ever for people to figure it out. Because if not, I feel like people are going to get left behind. I feel like home ownership is going to be a thing of the past. Just property values are going to be so expensive that, it's not even a middle class thing. It's going to become something that only the wealthy can do.
Now you talk about it, I kind of went on to this a place where you can kind of see inflation. It says a home in 1913, $2,000. You could buy a home in 1913 for $2,000. Now you're looking at $400,000, an average medium or something like that. But that's just what inflation is. So point is, to your point, yes, $1 million is not. I guess the new 6 figures, the new $100,000, you got to be making at least $300,000 to $500,000 a year to buy the lifestyle that
be middle class.
Yeah, exactly. If you're not doing that,
the old American dream.
That is true. Yeah. That's the point. So that's why I was in my third thing that I wrote here, because I was you were saying, like, how realistic is it for somebody to believe they can actually be a millionaire? Well, if you learn the sales, marketing, understand distribution, and then you choose the right vehicle, obviously that's going to be the key. So yeah, that's the point. Choose the right vehicle. I think that if you look at out of all the vehicles that are out there, let's talk about this for a little bit. I actually was I was making the case last night to somebody. I said, what are the industries that exist? So here's stuff that I have. Drop shipping. That's a $196 billion market. Okay. That's been very popular out there. What about affiliate marketing? Selling somebody else's product. That's a $12 billion market. How about freelance economy, right? Going on Fiverr or going on these places, you kind of sell your gig. That's a $1.5 trillion market. Stock trading, obviously, that's it's a huge market. People learn to do that. Although, as traders, the success rate, questionable. Crypto, well, right now it's not a $1 trillion market. Right now, it's been like cut in half. Real estate market, $3.6 trillion. Retail, $4.9 trillion, but asset management, $103 trillion. That's the size of the financial sector is $100 trillion, meaning that you could add retail, real estate, freelance,
well, because most
into
assets
one.
are being managed.
Correct.
Right?
That's right. Well,
most
that's the
assets
we're
are
in,
not
man.
People just trading.
That is
most
that
people
is
in a
correct.
401k, they're in a vehicle because they want to have eyes on their money, right?
That is exactly right. Right, exactly right. No, you're absolutely right. But I just thought it was interesting because you see, one of the things that created an epiphany in me is like, if you want to make money, you got to get as close to it as you can. Well, how much closer can you get at if you've been in the financial industry? I mean, it doesn't get any closer than that. And so, by putting the right amount of people in under leadership, and then that leadership then goes and gathers assets to be put under management. And that's where the revenue comes in because you're adding that value. Most people want to do what most people, they have an art, they have a passion, they have something that earns them a living, and they don't necessarily all want to be like worried about the money. They just need to be that they're in a place where their money is going to be relatively safe, growing, and protected from all these things that I've mentioned. And if you can provide that solution that is really rock solid, then you become that person who becomes a facilitator of the solutions. And that's why still the financial industry, it's created the most millionaires. Now, most people think, Tony, that the industry has created the most millionaires as real estate. That's actually not true. It's up there. It's definitely up there. And every millionaire will probably have it in their portfolio. But the reality is the financial industry is the ones created the most millionaires and has the higher chance of creating a millionaire just because of just the amount of money that is moving. And the biggest story that needs to be told today that is not being told is that there is more money that will move in the next 3 decades than ever before. We're talking about $90 trillion that are going to change hands the next 30 years. So that's why I'm more excited today than ever before, because the biggest transfer of wealth is just started to happen. Just imagine the amount of the trillions of dollars that will be converting from accumulation to distribution from all these baby boomers, and all the trillions coming from the seniors down to the boomers, and all that money from boomers going to Gen Xers. I mean, the next 30 years is going to be the biggest opportunity in this industry than ever before. And if you add it to the fact that people want to know more about how money works, right? And that they need to make more money. I mean, if you add all that up, it's like a perfect storm to make the financial industry a story that is already too good, make it even better.
Okay, so you have the income potential to make 6 figures, 7 figures or more. And do you have to like get a college degree like a doctor or a lawyer?
No, well, I think
your audience. How many degrees do you need?
How many
12 years education or?
Now let me tell you, this is a funny story, okay? I think your audience will enjoy it. So as I was going to college, called my counselor, ring, hey counselor, and he's like telling me, hey, listen, Mauricio, you're doing good, and just to tell you, and if you become if you get your associate's degree, you're gonna make like 40 grand, I remember, or something at that time. If you get your master's degree, you're gonna get this. If you get your PhD, you're gonna get this. And I'm like, by the time he got to the PhD, I'm like, dude, I'm already making like 2-3 times that. So maybe I was aligned with just trying to get out of that rat race, and it came so fast to me, and I developed such a strong passion for what I was doing to the families and how well I was being compensated for that that I put this education thing to the side. I've never stopped being educated, right? Because before I was pursuing a degree, I was pursuing a diploma. But then when I found a career, and I'm like, I can actually become really good at this, and the licensing that I need, more like a federal license or state license, which, by the way, I got my life license in 1 week. Today, you could go online to answer your question. You could go online, you could pay $27 or $50 max. You can get your insurance license literally within the first week. You can actually be applying, and that's the first license that you'll need to be able to harness the power of financial industry and make millions just with the life license alone, not to mention the Series 65 or 7 or none of that, just the life license alone. And the reason that is because there's so much money that is moving towards insurance because of the tax advantages they have, the protections that it has, the securities it has, that there are trillions of dollars moving to insurance products. Obviously, that's not the only thing we do, but for anybody looking to take their income to 6 figures or more, all they would probably need is the insurance license to get started. And you don't need a 4 college degree. As long as you have a high school, diploma, you're pretty much good to go. It's a very simple industry to get into, and it's very, very, very highly compensated.
Very cool. It's crazy, man. It's a crazy industry. It was crazy coming out to see you guys in person and just see all the people who have come from various different backgrounds, like you said, different immigrants, whether they're Latino, whether they're Indian,
Asian,
yeah.
You know what's funny though? I mean, what do you think about this? Because I know you probably noticed this. Like me, hey, listen, I'm and I say little not to like degrade me or nothing. That's like this little Mexican guy comes out here, doesn't go to college, and all of a sudden he's making 6 figures before he's freaking 20 years old. And have done really, really well. But point is that now I look at the company and I see doctors, lawyers. I see these IT guys that came here and they were offered great jobs, $200,000, $300,000 a year job. These coders, these jobs that are very well paid, and they're choosing to do this, right? Because of the potential. I mean, when did you see somebody that's a doctor that'd rather kind of not do that to do this? Right? Or you know what I mean? And so that only speaks to how powerful the industry really is. Because even as a doctor making $200,000 a year or $300,000 a year, you're barely making ends meet still.
Well, and you're capped, right? I mean, that's the reality. Is you could be the most proficient doctor, lawyer, etc. But in those careers, you are capped with your earning potential. Whereas with this opportunity, not only are you not capped with your production, right? Because you're in sort of a sales and consulting role.
Great point.
You're not capped with the distribution. Now you can start your own agency, your own financial services agency. And you can have a team, like you said, you have 3,000 agents.
Well, yeah, there's no cap. There's no cap. And we're going to go out there. Once you come in the office, you can see on the outside it says we're going to recruit the planet, because that is the intention. I mean, we declare it right when you come in. And the reason being is that, I mean, think about it. If we focus, like I have a personal a goal here with the Latino community, because they have been sort of underserved by that big industry over the last couple of decades, a few decades. So I have a personal thing where I think there's a lot of our people who are talented that can learn this stuff. This is not rocket science. And they could be those people that can go into the community and teach our people teaching our people, like how this stuff works. Point I'm trying to make is that there's 67 million Latinos right now, soon to be 100, but and there's not enough people to do that. So I could go out there and recruit another 100,000 people, and there's still not going to be enough people to help all middle class and everybody that needs their education to go to the next level. And forget about the Latino community. I'm just talking about the average American in general. There's just not enough people out there right now doing this. They're gravitating to other things like the drip shipping and the affiliate marketing or freelance or cryptos or heck, there's more realtors than there are homes to sell right now. Everybody's trying to get their real estate license when the opportunity is really in this other space. But so yeah, but it's uncapped, man. You can have as many people as you want. Canada, you got Canada. If the US is not enough for you, then you can expand into Canada, you can expand into Mexico. So you have the entire North American continent to operate on. We all have the same goals and dreams and challenges. But if you move towards the problem, that's where the biggest opportunity is. One of the things my mentor always says is that when you have a problem that is this big and you have a solution that is this big, then you have an opportunity of a real business. And so it is uncapped.
It's incredible. So I know that we're running low on time. If people want to get started, they want to join the financial industry, join the team that we're assembling now, how does it work? What are the next steps? What does that look like if somebody wants to get started? What do they need?
Yeah, this is probably the best and the closest you'll ever get to working, because if you knew the mentors, right, that we have in the community that you'll be part of, and of course I'm speaking to those that may be considering, I'm not saying stop doing what you're doing, but actually becoming part of this community, learning how money works, and then teach other people how money works, right? That you'll get mentorship from somebody who has built $3 billion market cap companies. They are so invested in our success that because our success depends on their success. So what I'm trying to make is that this is not somebody living up there in the 90th floor in a glass corner office. This is real leadership of the people that are building this company, and you can't put a price tag on that. So that's that value. And then you'll get all the technology. We have a lot of technology that facilitates, they make this business a lot easier. A lot about obviously how to create, how to use social media, right? Messaging, funnel, automation, AI. We have technology that combines all of that in one place so that our people don't have to be necessarily paying for all that expensive software that's out there for them to be able to use it. And then obviously the affiliation fee is $199 one time. Gives you access to the entire back office. And then within 24 hours of somebody joining, we've got a system where we will assign you somebody who is having success already. People that are making between $300,000 and $500,000 that will teach you the ropes on how to get there fast. As I was saying, the fastest way for you to become a 5 or 6 figure earner is to model somebody who's doing that, like 6, 7, 8 figure earners, like model somebody who's doing that. So what we do is immediately upon joining, we get you a trainer
with a mentor.
Yeah, we pair you with somebody who's already knows exactly how this is done. And again, that's the fastest way for anybody to absorb how the business is done, is to work with somebody who's already doing it, who is bringing revenue, right? Instead of just somebody who had theory. So yeah, you'll be aligned with the right team, Tony. We'll get them immediately. We'll take care of them immediately upon joining. And I get the point I was trying to communicate, and I don't know if I was doing a good job at it. Is that $190 would probably be, when you talk about investing, how much would that be in a stock, a bond, or whatever, versus being able to pay your affiliation and then immediately have access to this community, be paired with somebody who's going to train you, have all the technology in place and all the back office that I have seen how many millions of dollars this company has invested in creating the infrastructure to help us have success in this great industry. So, and what I just mentioned is, it's just the tip of the iceberg of what people actually get joining. But it's a fast start. Let's say you join today, by tomorrow, you'll be probably on the phone with Maricela or Maritza, and they'll be signing you up for understanding what is our process. Like, how do we,
And then there's ongoing mentorship calls, right?
there's
'Cause we-
ongoing mentorship forever, man. Forever. I've been with
and
this great
it's
team.
199 a month, right?
No. It's one time. Yeah. Is that a trick question, Tony?
It's a trick question. Yeah.
Well, I think it's worth a lot more than that. I
No,
think
it's
worth a lot
no,
more than
it's really
that. But
crazy. It's
the
really a crazy
199.
amount of value. No, I say that just to kind of make a joke, because it's really a crazy amount of value to basically get mentorship by a billionaire for life or for the rest of his life. I guess
Right.
we don't.
And then you have somebody that's assigned. I see people selling like and listen, I am not knocking it because I know there's a lot of great value. But sometimes if you pay $100 for something that's recorded and you pay on a monthly basis for these mentorship, here you're getting somebody with bones, flesh, invested with you, teaching you the ropes of how you're going to make it in this business, coupled with obviously all the technology for a $199, which part of it goes to the whole background check and stuff like that. Because it is the money industry, Tony. It is a highly regulated industry. Very easy to do it, but it is something where some of those fees go into making sure that you get all your back office and the background check. But other than that, it's a one time. It's a one time. So
it's crazy. It's incredible. Like I said, if you compare it to standing up McDonald's franchise or even if any other type of franchise like Geico, right?
Yeah, let me show you something.
Yeah, go ahead. You have an example?
Obviously, there's I'm gonna show you. It's not a bragging thing, but because we didn't even get into that opportunity. But one of the reasons I'm in this opportunity, right? Like this right here, it's like this last check I got, like $2 million. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, we can see it.
All right, so it's $1.8 million, right? This is not that was presented to, and this is not the biggest for sure because we have other people getting a lot of it, and then but it's important for people to know that this is just equity share, right? It's equity share. It has nothing to do with commissions or overrides or teams.
Yeah, that's just the bonus on top.
Yeah, this is just a little bonus, right? That is on top of whatever we do. One of the things I love about this team is that they share the wealth, dude. Like they share the wealth, meaning that everything that once you pay your 199, everything that you do, like every person you help, every product you actually put together, every team member you bring in, all of that counts towards you participating in equity within the company. Every other opportunity I have ever seen only gives you an option to earn a commission or an override, but not equity. Equity is kept sort of like to the founders, right? They kind of really try not to share that. Here, that's not the case. Everybody who puts and builds the company gets that equity. So you have this Mexicano guy came from this little village, right? He's has this massive team, and I have to give it to them. I mean, the credit goes to those people that believe in this little guy. Came out. I was just a dreamer, man. I wanted to figure it out, and they hugged me. I guess they invested in my passion and what I wanted to do, and invested meaning that they showed me. They're coaching me just like we do with everybody else that comes in. We treat everybody the same. But on top of that, they said, look, your efforts are contributing to the success of this company. Here is $2 million. Here's $2 million next year. Here's two. It could be more because obviously the bigger the company gets, the bigger the equity gets. But that could be life-changing numbers. I mean, people take freaking 40 years to accumulate $1.8 million. It only took me a few years being in here as a little bonus to get that. And knowing that everybody has that opportunity, dude. It's I don't know where else can people see that, but that's not even the tip of the iceberg, because guess what? I was able to take that 25% of that 1.8 million, and I was able to put that into an integrity marketing stock that it's going to be a lot more than that, because it's a rocket ship stock, right? And then I'm able to build this business where all these people that were part of the team are creating a cash flow that I could sell if I want to the same integrity marketing team. I could sell it to them for a multiple, if I set it up right, which is what I'm aiming for in the next 2 to 3 years. And so here I am, right? Most people think about retirement when they're 60. Well, I could retire here for good. I'm not going to. I just don't know what I would do. I mean, as good as you could be in the beach, I don't see myself retired. But being able to do things, man. I mean, I think when you have the means, and you could make a lot of other dreams come a reality. And I'm going to take this opportunity for what it is and max it out over the next 3 years to walk out of here maybe 100 million. I mean, that's what I'm aiming for, because it's really tangible. Hubert's already demonstrated this is a $1 billion opportunity. So I'm not crazy just by saying I could. We got a guy here in the company making $10 million a year. He could already sell for a multiple, let's say 7, 8, 9. That's 80, 90 million dollars. So it is reality, right? And the system is there. And it's not going to discriminate to anybody that comes in here and takes advantage of the opportunity. So I hope that sheds the light that it is not bluff. It's not just another deal. This is the deal, because it's financial industry. It's been there 100 years, and it will continue to be, because that's where all the money is being managed right now, $100 trillion.
Yeah, I remember when we first connected about this, and I came up to the headquarters and met Hubert and everybody. And I told you, I was like, hey, listen, I'm already making millions. So like, unless we're talking about hundreds of millions, I could get back on my plan and go back, right? And when I saw the opportunity, I was just so impressed. And honestly, the vision really aligns with what we do too. You guys are talking about dreams. My whole thing was Wi-Fi, and a dream is all you need to succeed. And it's an incredible opportunity to get into one of the biggest industries in the world.
Well, it's the biggest industry, and I know that's probably what you meant. But the other thing, Tony, is I'm very surprised how big vision people, listen to me, big vision people get it. Like if you look at, when you come around, if you went to the convention, if you look around, a lot of these people are like big dreamers, like big vision people get it. Small vision people, they all kind of look for the excuse of whatnot. They have to put effort, they have to work. Yeah, you got to do those things. Absolutely. Because success demands of us some things. You're not just going to get something for nothing. I mean, success is, you're not going to get, I love this, just to kind of wrap it up on my side, because I get really passionate about this, but those are these sort of little phrases that stir, the way that I think. It's like, the real boss in our lives is success. That's the true boss. You think about it. But what does success demands from us in order to get it? Well, maybe it demands discipline, loyalty, skills. I mean, we got to get those things. But the beautiful thing about being in this team is that we have so much experience that you can borrow from, all the way from Hubert and Steve, right? And whatever I can contribute, and what you can contribute yourself. Tony, you've got a lot, man, that you can obviously contribute to the community.
Oh yeah, that's the crazy thing. So anybody that joins tonight, you're going to be on my team. So anybody on my team is going to have a very, very, very unfair advantage when it comes to marketing, distribution, and execute.
I agree.
Like Mauricio said, you got to be willing to put in the work, but you're basically being handed your own McDonald's. And now it's just up to you to grill the burgers. But it's a multi-million-dollar business. Even if you do it wrong, it can be a multi-million-dollar business. And if you do it right, it can be even more.
That's so true. I like how you put it there, because even, I mean, it's okay to.
So when I got excited, Mauricio, you explained to me that the average commission was $3,000 from just you writing your own pen, right?
Yeah. So
start doing the
mathematics. That's in the low end, by the way, in the low end.
On the low end, no, I know. You had a commission just last week. You told me it was $35,000 for one commission.
Yeah.
But on average, it's $3,000, right?
Right.
So when I was young, that was a number that was really important to me, because I realized that to make $1 million in a year, I can make $3,000 a day, right? So 3,000 times 300 days in a year, you make $1 million.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you sell one policy, one product per day, you focus on one new client per day. Once you build up that momentum, right? One new client a day, you have $1 million business on your hands, just out of you, not without building a team, without building an agency. Obviously, we want you to build the agency out. And if you build out your own agency, you'll have me and Mauricio's full support, right? But even if you bring nobody on, no new agents. It's just you. You have $1 million a year business on your hands just by writing one policy on average per day.
Yeah, and but the strategies that they'll learn, Tony. I mean, I was able to go from 1,200 to 3,000 on average to $40,000 and $50,000 a case, and that's because we'll teach you the language, the verbiage, the strategy to bring the 20, 15, $5 million opportunities that will be begging for you to help them with our products and solutions, and that's where you go.
The language of the wealthy, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You know, let me give you guys a little, just one of those languages that bought that opportunity, and you know, funny how yeah, maybe I shouldn't show you that because it's just to show you the cases I'm working on right now on this computer that come because of that, which are multi-million-dollar cases, and what it is that, you know, I changed my messaging one and said, let me show you the 5 ways that you can actually extract all your money from qualified accounts without any taxation. If you are a doctor, lawyer, an employee that has worked for a company for X amount of years, and you have a 500,000, $1 million, $2 million, $3 million in an IRA, 401k, which, by the way, that's where most money is at right now, and they know that every time they've ever touched that money, they pay tax on it. If you show them the strategies, they will move that over here because it's not a conversation they've been having with their Vanguard guy, with their Fidelity guy, with their Chase guy, and they find it's a new story that you're telling them of things they can do that they were never told before. So guess what? The minute you teach those people something new that's that valuable, that money moves to you, and you could make massive amount of money. Now, I would share that obviously with the people that join the community because I just like you, Tony, probably invested a lot to get to where you are right now, right? And so right now, what we're doing is we're putting all these things into in a silver platter for everybody to join, because our success obviously depends on the success of our own people that joins the team. But I guess what I was really trying to just share is that I love how you put it simple. You want to make $1 million, you're looking at one case. With the expertise you have in terms of marketing, they can do that and better. But there's a second stage to this thing, which is you could not just make $3,000 a day. You could actually increase that by learning how to attract those bigger opportunities. We will teach you all that stuff in here, and that's a lot more than whatever you're gonna pay to get your number. So I don't know if there's any questions or anything. I know we're running kind of out of time, and I actually have to train some of the people. It's Thursday, so I got to jump on a training call to train them too, share with them what I know. But my friend, it was an honor being here. I'll be in any meeting you invite me to. So
yeah, no, thank you, Mauricio. Thank you for coming and sharing your story authentically. And I think it's just such a great opportunity for people that are trying to figure it out. You know, I've been having so many conversations with people who you know, maybe they have a business or they have a career, but they're trying to find a hack or some way to accelerate their growth and accelerate their income. And this is just such an amazing opportunity that when you presented the idea to partner and bring these products and services to the masses, we jumped at it. And I'm really excited. We're just getting started. We're just getting warmed up. So I'm really excited. We got our first 10 agents this week on our team, and we're going to continue to grow that and make sure that all of the people that are on the team are successful. Make sure they have the mentorship when it comes to sales, marketing, distribution, finance, and really understanding money, right? That's the other thing that, you know, it took me decades to learn, is really just to understand money. And what better way to do that than to get into the financial industry?
That's the worst that could happen to people. That they'll get here, they'll learn how money works. If anything, they'll learn how money works, and that's worth more than 190. Yeah. If I cut you off, I'm sorry. I just wanted to congratulate you for doing that. You remind me of Paola. You being the Paola for this community, and then teaching them that there is a better way. I'm sure you'll change a lot of lives. Paola could have easily told me back in the day, hey, why don't you buy a retirement plan from me? She didn't, man. She gave me the opportunity. I took it, changed my life forever. So it's great. Thanks again. Of course, I think you shared the link right there. So if people go in there, what you do is just go through the process. Join today. You'll be part of Tony. But obviously, I'm backing Tony up with everything that I got. The company is backing Tony and his entire team with everything that we have to make sure that you two are as successful as he is, as I am, as Hubert is. It's all the way from the top. Our success is only real if we help you be successful. So you're not just going to be paying an affiliation and figuring it out by yourself. No, no, no. We're coming in with the entire machinery and we're lifting you up. We're helping you. You just have to do your part, which is be coachable. That's it. And you'll get it done. If you really want it, this is the best opportunity, I think, for the right people. So Tony, man, thank you so much. That's it.
Mic drop. Mauricio, thank you again. And yeah, man, the only person that can screw this up, the only person that's going to get in your own way is you. So get out of your own way and take the first step, and hopefully I'll see you guys on the inside.
Take care, guys.